weeknights at 7, right here on WOR-TV, Channel 9.
All this energy calling me back to where it comes from. It's a 3-on-1 podcast. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? Oh, I know. He told me. I'm sorry. With the stewardess. That's just... I'm Matt Ryan, joined as always. If I'm a quarterback, you know him, you love him. It's Corrence Hammond. Big Rob may or may not be joining the show. It is a very busy time for Dr. Professor Fabian, so you'll get him on March 24th, if anything, but... The two other dummies are going to be minding the store, and we're going to start the show off the way we do every week with the news, and I'll throw it off to Corrence Hammond. Corrence.
So for the news this week, we'll start with the biggest story. And despite falling behind as much as 20 points on Sunday against Siquidit, the Las Vegas Insomniacs won their 18th straight game since the start of the 2023 national season, and are Fall Brawl champs in 2024. The Insomniacs would suffer a major loss, though, during their come-from-behind victory, as Chris "Mouth" McWilliams suffered a debilitating leg injury that will see him out of action for the foreseeable future. We wish him the best of luck from the 3-on-1 as he recovers, and we cannot wait, because he's going to have to rehab anyway, until he's back on an A7FL field. So heal up, my guy.
Certainly, and the New Jersey BIC held their first major practice, talking about the Northeast, of the 2024 season late last week, as the former national champions look to return to the national championship game this July. And while we cannot confirm reports that the BIC have a time machine that will bring 1992 Emmitt Smith, 1998 Randy Moss, and or Ron Mexico from the Blitz video game to the BIC's offense this season, but we've honestly heard weirder stuff lately. Cory?
Now, for the last bit of news, this is a little bit of a shift from our normal news segment, but we have breaking news from the 3-on-1 desk. And to announce this news himself, we bring on current-ish Outlaws quarterback and former Insomniacs playmaker Trey Robinson, a 2023 champion, to tell us a little bit about news about what he will be doing this 2024 spring season. Trey, welcome to the news section of the 3-on-1, and just drop it for us, guy. What you got going on?
Got a lot going on, man. So it was two teams that I was thinking about going to, and one of them really had me sold, which was the Chaos. But I decided that I'm gonna take my talents over to BIC for the spring season this year.
Whoa! All right, so this is a major surprise. Reports showed as early as last week, maybe even yesterday, that Trey Robinson, quarterback playmaker Insomniacs, would be defecting to the Ohio division from the Las Vegas division in Nevada and joining a team that he was a big part in beating in the Sin City Chaos. And talking with Brent Smothers, he was really excited at that proposition. And I was even dropping hints last week, thinking that was the case. But you're shocking the world and defecting to
BIC.
The Brothers in Christ from New Jersey.
I'm going home.
Tell me how that came about and what you think your role is going to be, either what they're telling you or what your expectations are joining in BIC. That might be, we might have to call them the USA BIC at this point.
The Continental BIC.
Well, it was always in the talks. It's been in the talks since last season. I just really, like if he would really follow my story, I would make a little side comments and little jokes and little hints, but I ain't took it farther than what it was. And then
man, it's following your little subliminal message, your sub tweets, all of that. It gets confusing, man. You're changing here and there. It was a year ago. Basically today, it was a year ago that you had just won a championship with the team in the fall and decided, man, let's do something else. So So BIC now who reached out to you? Who have you been in contact with BIC?
We got a little group chat. It's called the fucking trade portal. That's what it's called. It's called the trade portal. I'm not gonna name any names, but
the trade portal.
Yeah.
Now, to start in memoriam, have you notified the Sin City Chaos yet of your defection from your defection that you already had defected because of the defection?
No, not yet, but I will.
So they're learning this. Live. And hey, I apologize personally to Brent Smothers, who I was actually kind of helping broker this deal because you reached out and we were kind of talking. Now it brings you back to the Northeast where you were originally your first championship with the Pennsylvania A team, right? You guys weren't like Allentown A team. You just were like PA, right?
Yeah.
So you're back in the Northeast playing with BIC. You've been hinting at wanting to come back home, and home would be the Northeast. In your talks, what do you think your role will be with the BIC team, knowing that maybe, not the only reason, but one of the reasons you decided to move on from the Insomniacs was because on a stacked roster for a top team, it almost was like, as talented as you are, you were, not forced to, but it made sense for you to almost take a step back as the main and major focal point of the offense. How do you see yourself melding and meshing with BIC?
I really think I'm gonna have a role, man. I'm just trying to come and really just win. Like it's all about winning, I guess.
But if it's all about winning, then why not stay with the defending champs and assume a similar role, which was not a small role. It just wasn't necessarily the feature role. Are you basically saying that you're open to playing the kind of the ATH position again with BIC?
Yeah.
And you're looking to win. What do you see from the Insomniacs, current situation, right? That might have made you kind of like move away from that, but also B, kind of gravitate towards what some would say would be the Insomniacs, on paper of the East.
Nah. There's nothing. Excuse me. It's nothing. It's nothing. I don't know, Cory, man. I just don't. I'm tired of Vegas, bro. Like it's like I'm ready to go back home.
This is just the traveler Trey. So you're doing on a macro level what I on a micro level do every year is just get jersey after jersey after jersey, but you're just doing it in different state after different state. Now listen, no one's gonna get that Boston jersey for a little bit. So don't start stealing the passing records that I've set for Boston. Even though anyone that gets one win will be the winningest quarterback in their history moving forward.
But it's also a little more to just like it's a little more to this, like not just me going to BIC. It's a few Vegas players going to BIC.
Are you willing to kind of elaborate on that? You can't just surprise and then a couple more Vegas players.
Like I'm saying, it's a few guys that's on the Insomniac team right now. They're not happy with being there, so they're looking to go elsewhere. And BIC one of the teams they're looking to go to.
Are you willing to release those names at this current moment?
No.
Okay. But
here's a better question. Did they play an active role in the Fall Brawl Championship?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is it in your opinion? Which again, to clarify for all of those Insomniacs players, coaches, and also fans who are going to try to murder me in the comments, and you can comment on this podcast wherever podcasts are sold. This is your opinion. Don't assess this to me, fans. What is it about what's going on with the Insomniacs that you think, because you already defected, you already moved on, and you played in the fall. Congratulations on proving that again. You're a solid, good to great quarterback in our league, and yes, you were working with what you were working with, but hey, you impressed. But what do you think would be the thing about the Insomniacs that would increase the number of guys like you that are defecting moving on?
Just there's a lot of guys that are here. Like, I'm not saying like in a hating way, but they're tired of Insomniacs. You know, like they all say that all talent's on Insomniacs, but it's more in talent around the league. And guys saying that, you know, everyone go to a stacked team, that makes guys want to go to other teams to make their team better.
Well,
So that way-
to that point, then why aren't those guys going to the Kryptonite or the Hunters or the OTT to try to make Vegas better? Why would these guys go along with you? Like, you going to the BIC is out, a bit of an audacious thought because you've been there for as long as Nevada's had a division, but you do have roots in the Northeast, so it would make sense for that to be a thing. But for these players who are Vegas mainstays, why would they make that kind of trip? And also, how consistent, how much reps would you guys get? Because how many times are you going to be flying across the country to play against the Snow Tribe, or no slide on you, Cory, but the Renegades or the Buzz or anybody else on your schedule? Well,
I got that.
Well, that solves that problem.
I'm living there.
Yeah, but that's you.
Yeah,
and we get you've been kind of saying I want to go kind of back home, and it's well documented that you're a Northeast guy first. Mm-hmm. So that makes a little bit of sense, and we could kind of get behind that, especially because you're jet setter Trey at this point.
Nah. My whole thing is about leaving Vegas and going back east. It ain't nothing to do with this time. It ain't nothing to do with nobody. It's just that how I thought it was. I started in Vegas. I started on the East Coast. I'm in the East Coast.
But my question isn't about you, because you make sense. My question would be about the hypothetical other guys.
The one guy is one of the better linebackers in the league.
Okay, so we and we're not going to confirm that, but we know that. But that was an already depiction as well.
Yeah.
What else do we got? What you're saying? There's other Vegas guys, and you said
it's a DB. I'm giving you hints. It's the DB.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I can keep confusing their names. Okay, keep going.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know DB is also a lineman too.
Well, if it's the lineman, that's a bigger deal than if it's a lineman. But at the end of the day, I think the interesting thing is that to defect from the champs to the team that's kind of stacking up to beat the champs, is it the same thing as like when you joined the league originally and everybody kind of was, every one of your kind of like, to quote Munchie and not in his voice, Matt, I got you.
Thank
but
you.
Friends, right? You went with the pit bosses when everybody was going to the force to kind of try to beat the best.
Right.
How do you equate that to this situation? Because, look, the Insomniacs are the defending champs. They have the belt. They're the team to beat until they're and to quote Derek, they're the team to beat until they are beat. And somebody takes that belt away from them. They've won 18 straight. Great team. Showed it again at times in the fall championship. Me and Matt will go over that a little bit more. But now the move is what? You're going to go to the team that's got guys coming from Florida, now guys coming out from Vegas, guys coming from Pennsylvania to all make this kind of this USA brothers in Christ. How is that equivalent to like, what you originally said you wanted to do, which was join the pit bosses with only 13 guys, or what you did in the fall, which was start your own thing with the Outlaws? How does that equate? And can you see where I'm coming from, where it looks like you're making either a lateral move or you're making the same move that Zelly Daniels is doing, like, oh, I'm gonna just join all these good players and whatever.
No.
So what's the difference?
How is it all? Huh?
So but that's what I'm saying. What is the difference? You're joining BIC, and
What
if you
was the
ask Rob,
difference?
they're probably the favorites to win the championship before you make the move. Before you knew you were making the move. BIC.
I know nothing about that. That decision was made yesterday.
No,
It was.
Listen, you're making the move. It's
But look, wait,
certainly going to be shocking. Go ahead.
Wait, but what's the difference between BIC making a super team and difference between the Insomniacs doing it?
No, it's
That's
not
what
more
I'm
of that.
saying.
It's not
I'm
more of
talking
that.
about you.
Yeah,
I'm talking about you. You have said multiple times that you would rather beat the best than join the best. And I'm not saying that that's what you're doing, but it's a far cry from saying yo, give me whoever's left on the Las Vegas Strip, and I'm gonna beat the force when you were with the Pit Bosses, and you know that little leprechaun coach is still walking around, is still talking shit about our league, but can't get enough of it.
Barley.
You said his name. I just said a little leprechaun.
Kayfabe Cory.
Or, yeah, right. Or now you're joining a team that is not the Pit Bosses. Let's just say that they're not the 2021 Pit Bosses or the 2024 Fall Outlaws. This is the America BIC. So what's the shift in mindset, or is there just something attractive to go back east, play in the original division, have a chance to win a championship, but also be around a locker room of guys that know how to win?
Yeah. What's that, Cory? And I'm just trying to play football, Cory. That's it.
All right. Listen, that's fine. That's a totally perfect answer, and you could just be honest, be like, hey, shit changes, and hey, I'm not gonna have a follow up to that. So let's just put a bow on it. Trey Robinson to BIC, and yes, I am doing this show from my dining room, and my wife is looking at me. What? Isn't that the Vegas guy? Yes, that is correct. Trey Robinson, BIC, Brent Smothers, curled up in a ball crying somewhere. All right, cool. Any last words about the news that you just broke and the situation that you just set into motion?
Nah, man, I'm just ready to go and play football. That's it. I'm tired of all the political shit. I'm tired of everything. I want to play football and have fun. And Vegas is not fun no more. So
well, in New Jersey, the politics are usually pretty blue, so you don't have to worry about politics here. We don't know what we're doing in Nevada. Good luck to everyone voting out there. Please send the Electoral College the right way.
But Trey, one final question.
Okay.
When you look at, well, it's a two-part question. The one player on the BIC you're most excited to play with, and the one game you're looking forward to most on the schedule.
Come on. You should already know, bro.
But the fans don't.
Yeah.
As smart as Matt is,
I'm doing my job, man.
Who's the best player on BIC?
That's an argument, but Ashante Worthy would be up there.
Well, Big Mook caught a man who caught the
that
ball.
is true. That is true.
We're talking about BIC, man. It's pick your poison. So who's the best player on BIC?
KY.
I'm coming to play running back. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Then that is going to be a wild combination on offense, and I'm assuming the game you're looking forward to the most is playing Cory, but possibly I would assume the Patterson U at the top of the list.
And the second game I'm looking forward to is Patterson U. Yes, you're correct. Only because my first game playing, like when I was 17 playing in the league, was my first team to play against. So yeah, that's the game that I'm looking forward to.
You know what's crazy? When you played that game at 17 years old, how many of those faces are still around, though, if you think about it? Because it's
I don't know.
Well, you'll see. And Matt has a schedule in front of him. What week is that? So we can let Trey know.
Let me see here. That is week 3, so that is April 14th.
April 14th.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm ready.
So there you go. Breaking news. Surprise to us. Trey Robinson, America BIC. So look, you know I'm a fan of yours. I got your Pit Boss jersey still. I'll have to get you one of mine. It's not going to be Snow Tribe, unfortunately, because you know how that went. But listen, man, good luck on the season. Stay healthy. Don't play defense when you play the Renegades, please. But anyway, well, that's our guest. And Matt, you got anything else for him? I think that's
it. Trey Robinson to the BIC. We will get reaction from Big Rob Fabian, and we'll talk about the top wide receivers in the A7FL and an update on the schedule and so much more on the other side of this. It's a 3-on-1 podcast. If you don't want to listen to the ads, that's not my fucking fault. You got to fucking just skip them. I'm not your dad.
You got fingers.
Toys that could hurt your kids tonight.
Are you or someone you love butthurt about what is said on the 3-on-1? Do you feel that you and or your team are not in fact ass? Are you a paranoid conspiracy theorist who thinks Cory Hammond is in fact a lizard man? Call the 3-on-1 complaint line now and have your voice heard.
I mean, we need some big guns in Jersey.
I have a message for Trey Robinson. You better come with all of that smoke whenever you guys get to Cincinnati, because you guys have not faced any kind of defense like what we got up here. And I'm telling you, you guys will get humbled really fast.
Call 516-387-2735. That's 516-387-A7FL and have your voice heard like this gentleman.
I may or may not be bringing a former NFL wide receiver with me to the A7FL.
Call today. Welcome back to the 3-on-1 podcast. I'm Matt Ryan, joined by Cory Hammond, and we're going to get a lot of reaction over the next show or two about what we talked about with Trey Robinson. But, Cory, just really quickly, your thoughts on it now that we've had Trey on and we've been able to process this information to be transparent with everybody. We recorded that on Tuesday night. We're actually recording this on Thursday night. So if you're wondering why the episode is late this week, this is why.
Whoopsie.
Real life got real life for us this week. Not in a terrible way, but in a that's more important than this fuck around podcast. But your thoughts
In general, maybe not to me, but yeah. So we got a chance to kind of, after the Trey thing was announced to us,
and we did get independent confirmation from multiple sources on this.
Yeah, because he is a trickster. That guy, he's a trickster. But yeah, the Trey thing, I will be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed. Not to hear him doing what he wants to do. That's kind of at the end of the day what should drive player movement across the A7FL. Look no further than Jordan Davidson, our guy Milk,
it would have been
for whatever reason going out to Vegas.
It would have been interesting if that was kind of like the cultural exchange where Ohio got Trey Robinson and Nevada got Jordan Davidson.
Yeah, no.
Because they're both polarizing for sometimes similar reasons.
No, not even close. We've seen Trey.
Let me extrapolate on that.
Well.
Trey's a very good football player, but he's also a very controversial, outspoken person. Jordan Davidson has held a football. He has played on the A7FL's Ohio, Cincinnati fields before. He was in Olatangi Volcano. But I wouldn't put him in the same tier as Trey Robinson. I wouldn't put him in the same tier of a lot of players, mainly because, and this is no slight on him, he said it on Other Side of the Ball. He started playing football again after being called to play in the A7, played some football in his younger life. He's more of a basketball player. Like, he's admitted, basketball was I believe his first passion.
No
But
disrespect to my guy. We've talked way too much
I'm
about him.
I'm circling back to my point.
Well, I think it's a great point. If we were talking about, let's say we were talking about Keno Thomas.
Yeah.
Perfect. And now Trey does have more of the, lightning rod-esque thing. But the Jordan Davidson, to be clear, and this is no disrespect to him, and I give him a lot of credit because we talk a lot about him, and like with no film, no stats, really no reason to, but we keep doing it, so whatever. Shout outs to you, Milk. But the thing is he's just saying things. It's not like he has a take or his view is widely respected by the league at large. Most people are like, who the heck is this guy talking? But credit to him and Skylar Hurd getting their podcast.
But
together,
some people would say the same thing about us. They would be wrong. I mean,
but
they could
I have
say
a
the same
30-minute
thing
highlight
about
tape
us.
of my first 5 years, which is half of my.
But it's not about what they did on the field. It's not about that. Let's not.
Well, for Trey, it is though.
No,
and that's
is.
where I differ in my point, though, Matt. Because my point, and not to cut you off, although I did, my bad. But the thing is the reason that I wish he went to Ohio isn't because of the cute little story of it's like a trade, but because bringing that level of talent and experience and validation to Ohio, we talked about it, Matt. that means that, hate Trey Robinson, love Trey Robinson, not think he's that great, basically worship him as an idol, wherever you stand on him, he's a guy that you would want to watch and see how his games in Ohio looked. So for me, the disappointment isn't that he's doing what he wants to do. He should. Isn't that BIC gets another really good player and he's promising more. He didn't clearly say who they are, but, read through the lines, you probably could figure that out. But for me, him going to a team in Ohio, whether it was the Chaos, which I think would have been a really interesting way to spice up that playoff matchup if chalk goes, and we could talk about playoffs in a episode further down the line. But more importantly, just being in a division that we sometimes want a better comp for talent-wise, and having a guy that we at least know what he can do, see what he can do against that division head-to-head, week in, week out, as they continue to grow. They don't have 4 teams anymore. I think it's up to like 6 or 7. They're doing all the right things. So to get a talent like that in the building, in their division week after week, it would be something that we talk about the Sunday happenings in Ohio when, not to disrespect those guys out there, I don't know how often week to week we're going to be checking scores in Ohio, really, concerned what's happening or even, fully invested in what's happening, especially if it goes the way that it did last year, where the Chaos basically dog walked the entire division, and then in the Final Four were a paper tiger that, really we can question if they even belong there. So shout outs to Trey making a move. I'll let you, kind of cap this one off, Matt. But, as much as it would have been fun to kind of talk about the two personalities who are Milk and Jet Setta Trey, to me, it's just I really am just still wondering why Other Side of the Ball even had him on as a guest, because, if he wants to do his own podcast, great. But we are perpetuating this Jordan Davidson thing to the point of almost dangerous levels, where more people may know who he is than some of the best players in our league because of how much attention he's accidentally
getting. That's endemic
getting.
to sports, though. Like, the reason why I made that comparison is because it would be the best thing for all parties involved. Trey Robinson going to Ohio would be the best thing for Cincinnati. Like, they would have been the biggest winners out of all of this because you have a player that's been highlighted and featured, that's played in the national championship last year, was a key piece in, some of the more interesting fall games we've seen the last 2 years, and as a guy who has experience at all levels of the A7FL, bringing that in, as you said, that's great for the division, not just for the Chaos who may have gotten them.
It would have been,
yeah, theoretically. And
sorry, Brent.
And it also,
poor guy,
Jordan Davidson going to Nevada, and I made this comparison for this point. Trey needs to go somewhere else to find new opportunity. Jordan Davidson is going to find out what scrutiny actually feels like playing in Nevada, because we only saw him a handful of times. He's going from Ohio, to where he ostracized himself, to Nevada, to where he's already ostracized himself, and he has not played a down yet.
Well, and I'll remind people of the way that just the talking and being the media personality first and only works out. Does anybody remember Derek Duncan's guy, Rashad Davis, coming over from the Florida division to the Vegas division, and how big of an impact he was promising he would make, how great he was going to be playing football, and how very little he was ever seen doing anything even football related, not to mention the other toxic things that went into it. So let's not compare the two in that sense. But Jordan Davidson, I wish him the best of luck. He has the best marketing team in the history of the A7. And look, I'm perpetuating the Milk thing. Everybody else is enabling him with the Vanilla Vic thing. You guys know what that is actually saying, right? You're saying he's the white Mike Vick. He is not yet, and if he does prove to be, good for him. But he's going to be Milk until I see him throw for 75 yards in a game. Is that too much to ask? Not.
I'm going to tell you a story. See, in professional wrestling, there's a thing called a job guy. A job guy is what now most people would call him an enhancement talent. His job is there to make everybody look better by comparison. Jordan Davidson is not a job guy. He is a guy who shows up with the ring crew and thinks that he can be the main eventer. I had that happen to me once. A guy showed up to a Catalyst Wrestling show around this time a year ago. Off the street. Literally just showed up to the building. No one knew who he was. I thought he was either a fan or working on the ring crew. He asked to be on the show. That's not how wrestling works. That's not how anything works. You just don't show up and say, "Hey, can you put me in? Can I quarterback the BIC this week?" This is just not how that shit works.
Well, that's what he's doing. He showed up and said, "Can I quarterback the Vegas Pit Bosses?"
And he's going to walk into competition with Quentin Ariarte. And Coach Q's already said,
honestly, in my opinion,
it's Ariarte's job. It's Quentin's job. So I don't know.
He's good. He's really good. I've seen him
he's
throw
a good
for 200
football
yards
player.
in a game
so
against the champs.
So Jordan Davidson's taking this huge leap of faith, and good luck to him. But now he's going for.
You gotta give him credit for that.
No, he's got balls. Like the reason why I'm talking about the kid is because he has balls. He's willing to step on that field and get fucking pinataed. Because he is he wants the. That's the thing is because he wants. There are people in this league that are in it for the attention, and that's fair. We're obviously in it for the attention. We're on fucking camera. We're on TV. Cory's a quarterback. Of course he wants the spotlight because the quarterback is the toughest job and the biggest job in football outside of offensive or defensive linemen, in my opinion. But you have this spotlight on you now, and it's you facilitate it, and the thing is, you create an economy around it, and we see it in this league. And there's good and bad with it. There's good in it that it creates more content, it creates more buzz, it creates more conversation, and that's awesome. I love seeing people take that opportunity and try to become actual creators. Create content, try to find aspects of this league. Zaire Hancock, I believe he's trying to become a YouTuber, and he did a watch-along of an A7FL game. And it was really cool to see a young kid in this league, because how many guys in this league are under 25? How many of these kids are streamers? How many of these kids are going to see the people that are working with us on Creator Sports Network this season streaming our games on Twitch, on YouTube, on wherever, and want to do that, and do that with this league? There's so much opportunity for shit like that here. And then there's the primary economy outside of the show we do, outside of Other Side of the Ball, and those are the live streams. And those are great because they're fun. They don't have to follow the rules we do. But they're also mainly players only. So there's a lot of shit there that we'll talk about, but we won't go full blast on, because there's this level of there's this level of respect there. The shit doesn't go outside of that. And that's obviously RTU, that's other shows, things of that nature. And you gotta take stuff like that with a grain of salt. Not that, everything we say on this show is 100% fucking super true, 1000%. We'll fuck shit up, and obviously we'll do show. But to look at this weekend's Fall Brawl Championship, the conversations coming out of that are inevitably and invariably going to be the same.
Well, listen, Jordan Davidson, you're welcome.
Oh, I was trying to transition completely out of that and go into the next thing and just fucking move on. But
yeah, I just wanted to bow it up. But so
you don't have
you got a full 7 minutes of us somehow invoking your presence in the show.
This is 13 minutes.
And you know what? After the L that you took last night, because you wanted the spotlight, you got on a show. They started talking about how
they beat the shit out of that kid. Chris Vera, Chris Vera took his fucking lunch money for no reason.
Well, the thing is that what they do is that they have problems with people in a state, so they'll invite a guy that once maybe lived there, and then they'll argue with that guy, like he said something, and they'll just use his face as a proxy to yell at their insecurities. But speaking of the Fall Championship. Well,
kidding,
I
I'm
think
kidding.
that's what your therapist
therapist
wants
is
you to
good.
do. But live therapy on air. We're working through it too.
I do find the Nevada Ohio feud, the Sin City Chaos thing. Let's talk about it for a second. Let's get to the.
It's like an 8th grader beating up a 3rd grader and then being mad still.
It's not even that. The thing that they're mad at is a pun. It's a fucking pun.
It's all word games with them, though.
They want to start this fucking big ass kerfuffle because there's a C instead of an S, and it's a pun.
Well, it's the definition of super team. It's the usage of Sin City. Wordplay is huge in Vegas, and you got to be careful about what you say around them.
I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in Sunset Park. I would not get They named Rhea Perlman did a movie about my neighborhood, and I was like, it's not that good, but I'm not going to get fucking bowed up and, like, I get it, it's your hometown. I guess because I'm a New Yorker and, like, I don't care.
You know what it's like?
It's college football. It's very college football, very high school. It's very high school football because it's like, you can't, that's our thing. You can't do that thing. That's my thing. How dare you do my thing, even though it's not really my thing, but it's kind of my thing, and fuck you. It's just so goddamn odd to me.
Well, it's also none of the teams are named the Sin City. None of the teams are named Sin City anything.
No. The first team to be named Sin City this year was the Outlaws, and they're a goddamn fall team.
And they don't exist anymore. They just evaporated back into the ether.
Oh,
you know what
this is? You know what this is, Cory? Because Rob's not here. It's Matt and Cory's petty show.
Yeah, we're just
petty.
Airing grievances. It's Festivus. So you know what it's like, Matt? You live in Brooklyn. It's like if you came to my house in Ford's and we ordered pizza and it was called Brooklyn Pizza and you got mad at that. Anyway,
I don't get mad at that. I get confused by that. Like when I see
Speaking
Coney
of the Fall Brawl.
Yes, let's go back to the Fall Brawl Championship.
Now, listen, if you love Vegas coverage and you love the Vegas division, shout outs to the other side of the ball. You can check out their YouTube, and there's going to be fall games on their fall coverage. And shout outs to their show in which they covered, in their way, the fall championship that just happened Sunday. But I think there's a lot of things to cover, and I'll let you start, Matt, but I definitely want to get in on this conversation because I think there were quickly because Vegas free agency gets a little weird.
Yeah.
But a game happened, a great game happened. And Matt, what's your take on it?
You know, it's so weird to me how narratives can change really quick. Because a lot of what we saw in that game with Sickwit from the Insomniacs was what we saw the week before with the Alienators and what we saw in the National Championship. It takes a while for them to get really into it. They can play themselves back into a game, but it takes a little more time, and they're not able to run away with it. They're able to win. They're able to walk teams down. The Insomniacs are like Floyd Mayweather. They'll play to their they'll beat the shit out of you if you're a punk, if you don't matter. But if there's money in it, they'll walk you down. They did what Floyd Mayweather did to Manny Pacquiao, to Conor McGregor, instead of what Mayweather did against Tenshin Nasukawa about 5 years ago, beat the man until he cried and quit in the ring. Like that.
That's what they did to Sin City.
That's what they did to the Sin City Chaos. That's what they did to every other team
Everybody
this year.
in Vegas.
They mercy ruled almost everybody but those two teams. And when we had Anthony Wilkerson on, who showed up in the second quarter, like they had players showing up late, they had guys showing up from work or different things. I feel like the Insomniacs are going to take maybe 4 games seriously in the regular season, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for other teams. And I think the Insomniacs are going to run the table. They're going to be undefeated. I think they're going to be in the championship this year, barring acts of God or someone, sick with it, just finally catching hot and staying consistent with their secondary. to me, the problem's always going to be, as long as Scott Hamilton has time in the pocket, you're fucked. Like there's nothing else there. And Cory, I know you have
until he maybe does it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is that going to be a problem outside of maybe once or twice a year? I know that they're talking about the evolution of the linebacker out there, and there are some solid linebackers on other teams, and there's some very fast human beings in Nevada. I think they might have the fastest per capita rate per human out of any division in the league. But I still see an upper tier and a lower tier. There's very little margin. There's very little Venn diagram on those defenses.
Well, and what I wanted to talk about in the chip, because I think a lot of people would assume the conversation that I had based on kind of the pettiness that I've been approaching, first of all, us coming back into this episode right away, but also the general pettiness that I've been kind of throwing towards the Vegas division and the Insomniacs specifically, that I would come on here after their win and talk about, the negative shade that you can put on the Insomniacs with their showing in the Alienators game, in the Siquita game, in the fall in general. But that's not what I'm going to do. And maybe that is upsetting the apple cart, or the spread that people had on what I was about to say. But I think what we learned about the Insomniacs is that they know how to win, even when the things aren't going their way, even when they start slow, whether they show up on time. All of those things are part of the winning formula that the Insomniacs have 100% figured out in general. I think what's also important to know and kind of focus on when you're really dissecting this game are some of the things that the guest, and his name is escaping me now, I think it's Ray Harris, from the other side of the ball, as he was kind of talking about, where he was coming from, and that, AJ wasn't 100%, and we only had 4 guys to rotate at defensive end. And there's these excuses of why things are happening. And maybe we could look at that, and maybe later on in the off seasons we can start to hypothetically walk down that road. But let's be clear. At the end of the day, the Insomniacs came into the fall with only one way that they walked out of the fall as a success, is with the championship trophy, and they figured it out. Whether they didn't have these guys or this guy was injured or whatever excuse it was, it didn't end up being something that kept them from winning. And a lot of times I make fun of Munchie for saying it, but it looks like at the end of the day, a lot of the times it comes down to the Insomniacs are just better. But I don't want to focus on the Insomniacs, right? Because for a lot of reasons, the Insomniacs aren't even really that interesting anymore. They don't have a one guy situation that's the guy that you like. Me and my kid went to a Warriors Brooklyn Nets game, and the reason you go is to watch Steph Curry, right? When you look at the Insomniacs, they have tons of top-level talent, but who are you turning on the Insomniacs to really gear in and watch? Because they rotate too much for you to really focus on one guy, and if it's the quarterback, Scott Hamilton, no disrespect to him, we'll talk about him in a second when it was, the winning drive situation as a play caller, what he chose to do. But I think it's more important if we break down Siquita, because like we talked about, other side of the ball, they covered the championship the way that they do, with very little substance, with very little specifics, and just general, we're Vegas, we're great, Insomniacs won again, nobody can touch them, so that they can continue their narrative. But I think it's really interesting to look at that game, put it under a microscope, and the best place to start, even though there's the controversial calls that people are going to talk about are bullshit, if the refs are the reason that you go to Facebook and say that you lost, you're a loser. You're just not going to win any games, okay? The refs are going to call what they call, and if you go back to that and think that that's what beat you, you didn't go in the next play and try to win. So that's an excuse that I'm not going to live with, and I don't think anybody should say out loud anymore unless they just want to be labeled a loser. You're welcome, whoever you are, because then hopefully you'll move forward the correct way. But let's just start with Siquita, tied 26-26. And there's a lot going on in that game before and especially after. But let's just start in the really do-or-die situation for Siquita. A game that they obviously, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, they probably wanted to win more than any game in the A7 that they've played yet. Maybe last year because they're starting to catch on the fall don't count, and it's their excuse when they lose in the fall because they're going to talk about how the spring's going to be better. You were trying. You could just lie. That's fine. We'll live with it. But stick with it on 4th and goal from the 6-yard line. And if you're watching this on video, I'm going to bother Matt to make sure that as I'm talking, and I'm not looking at it, by the way, this is just from memory. As I'm talking, you can watch it along as I talk. On about 4th and 6, Sickwit has a chance to go up on the team that has beaten them time and time again, talks hella relentless shit on Facebook to their face as constantly as they can. This was their opportunity to punch the big brother in the face and change the paradigm. We could be talking about on this play, if it went a little bit different or and maybe even like a tiny bit the right way as opposed to completely the wrong way in every single scenario possible. And no, I'm not about to blame Jeremy Geary for an interception, fans. You guys have no idea what real football is if you are. So let's go to this play. 4th and goal from the 6. Sickwit lines up. Pac-Man Jones is at the top of your screen. He's going to come down in what I call a crack motion to the edge of the defensive line, and he's going to run a shallow and then sit in the middle. It's a zone route, by the way. No one runs zone in A7FL. Good luck with that route. And they're going to have a right-handed quarterback with a tight end in Knox on the right side and a wing back, and I'm not sure his name, but Derek said he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as your wing back on the right side, the quarterback's front side, on a play that if you go cross-face play action with the running back like you see here, leaves the running back moving action backside and both wide receivers on the front side, eligible wide receivers, the tight end and the wing, not touching a soul in protection, going out for the pass as if Jeremy Geary is a ghost, an apparition that cannot be touched or tackled. So you purposely design a play that rolls out to the right side without hypothetically even considering for a second Mark Gray. The protection to the side a relatively immobile quarterback is rolling. Worse yet, look at the offensive line for Sickwit. Not one person blocks their man, and a man is completely free of the 3 rushers when there was 4 set up to potentially protect this play, which is a must-have 4th down to win the championship. And what you design is a play that forces Jeremy Geary with 0 people even attempting to block. But worse yet, the design of the play is flawed to begin with because it's a cross-face play action to the backside, and both the tight end and the wingback don't even chip because they have 0 interest in winning a football game. All of the Sickwit offense that is in that huddle should look themselves in the mirror and not only tell themselves that they are terrible at the concepts that make up football, that they should apologize to everyone on their sideline and their fans. But most importantly, to their quarterback, who is the one that the entire A7FL universe is going to say, oh, you threw a pick in crunch time when it mattered most. Because no one blocked, no one designed a play for it to succeed, and you have 3 receivers covered by 1 unit guy. You could have one guy cover all 3 of those receivers. They're running routes in the same direction, and all Geary can do is throw up a prayer to try and complete a pass when his coach sabotaged him, his offensive line sabotaged him, and his wide receivers made no effort to try to save him. This is a disgrace. Mark Gray is not a good coach. I do not want to hear anybody tell me that in a crunch time situation, the most important play of your season, that this is what you design? This is how you wanted to try to win a game? But Matt, guess what? It gets even worse. As they turn the ball over, the score is still tied with 4 minutes left in the game. And Scooter Hamilton knows that Sickwit's defense is a bunch of... I was gonna go the wrong direction there. But I'll just say what happens without saying names. And in 4th quarter, with nothing else to do but try to get the ball back to win the game, the Insomniacs go Wildcat with Scooter Hamilton not even holding the ball. And fans, just so you know, when you go Wildcat and you give the ball to a running back, Matt, in those situations, do you have to worry about a pass? No. It wasn't even Munchie who can throw a pass running the Wildcat. It was Juice, a running back, who you knew was getting the ball, who you knew which direction he was running because you could read the lead blocker, who is a quarterback, by the way. And he gets how many yards? A gain, an attempt in the fourth quarter when you need a stop with 4 minutes left in a Wildcat where you know it's a run, you know which direction it's going, and stick with it sells out to allow how many yards of play? Approximately 15 until they get down into scoring range. And the 4-minute offense that the Insomniacs were both calling and running had their quarterback. Now, we just talked about what Geary has to go through with what Mark Gray put him through and the sick-witted, disgusting, nauseating play call on 4th and goal. Look at what Scooter Hamilton is able to do in winning a championship. He throws an inaccurate pass for his first pass, and then as the clock is basically winding down to nothing, after they run the ball, because they're so confident that Sick-Witted is so terrible that they're not even trying to win a game like you normally would in a fourth quarter by passing, by doing something other than just running it straight into the line and just being bigger and better and badder. I'd like all of you, the fans, to count how many seconds on a must-stop 4th down, last play of the Insomniacs offensive game he has to throw the ball. Because it's an embarrassing high number for him to stand back there. And yeah, you could talk about the coverage for Sick-Witted. You could blame the coverage for Sick-Witted. But no corner, no safety, no linebacker, no human can cover anyone, much less the Insomniacs wide receivers, for more than 8 seconds that Scooter's standing back there with no one around him. Let me just say, Matt, as great as that game was, as great as Sick-Witted came out, and they were punching, they were ready to do the right thing and try to take down the champs. For those who are going on Facebook or going and talking out loud or anybody, including probably Big Rob, to say that Jeremy Geary is ass because he threw an interception on one of the last plays of the game with like 4 seconds left to try to Hail Mary it into the end zone, or that he threw the interception on the 4th and goal in the must-have situation. Now, did he have a perfect game? Absolutely not. Could he have played better? Absolutely. But when you break it down to what I'm talking about, that 4th down play, it was a sabotage job, as if they wanted a different quarterback next spring. That's how bad the play call was. It was embarrassingly bad that somebody actually should owe him money, or he should sue them for defamation of character, because now people are going to slander Jeremy Geary's name because their coach called wing right, cross-face play action to the backside, roll out to the right with no front side protection at all. And then his offensive line, we might even give credit to my guy, Seau Suo, or whatever his name is, because he caught a tight end shovel pass and trucked a guy that he outweighs by like 175 pounds, and we're going to give him credit and try to praise him. But when he's called for in a championship game to make a block, he's basically not even standing there. And then for the defensive line and the defensive players on Sick-Witted to allow the Insomniacs to walk down the field as if they didn't exist in a Wildcat with no threat to pass, everybody knows where the ball's going. It's no wonder the Insomniacs say that they're better, because nobody's good out there. And that's why the other side of the ball should have covered the fall championship, so it's not just me saying this shit. And shout-outs to Geary. They put him in the worst situation possible. And you know what he did for his team? He threw the ball instead of taking a sack. So, he gets the interception on his record. But the interception should go to the bad karma from that play should go to everybody else that was involved except for him. They should be ashamed with themselves. And to me, I'm sick with watching them.
And that was our first.
They better get better.
And that was our first episode of Cory Hammond, Quarterback Attorney. We will have new episodes of this every week starting in the season, where every week Cory will get up on his soapbox and deliver the 4th act of a crime show at random, defending the quarterback, breaking it down with the film here on the program. We were going to go through a couple of bits. We were going to do top 7 wide receivers. We were going to have Rob on. We were going to do a lot of things this week. But I've been sick. Rob has been busy. Cory is a dad. He's got lovely hair. And, well, we promise a show. This has been a show. This certainly has been a podcast tonight. I wouldn't say a bad one. I would say it's been a very fun one, Cory. But how are you feeling after getting all that off your chest? I just let you go at that point because I was
as
like,
much as I went, as hard as I just went, I feel like I left some on the table still. I'm disgusted.
Like I get your frustration. I truly get your frustration.
And I'm an asshole, and I try to not be, and that's the bit.
I know you do.
But be honest with me, because you're the unbiased guy in this situation. Is anything that I'm saying not 100% factually accurate?
I cede to you because you're speaking things at a level that can be clearly translatable, but you get into the weeds on these things, and luckily we have I don't have the film in front of me while we're recording this. The film is on the screen.
Neither do I.
You could have fucking fooled me, buddy. Yeah. It looked like you were watching it while we were talking because you were kind of just looking off. But that's the good.
My bad.
But when it comes to breaking this down, that's the thing I love about the show is that we can just go on these extemporaneous rants, whether they're about players that aren't good or for Cory breaking down why he's shooting Jeremy Geary all of the bail.
It's not even bail.
But one thing
it's like you said, it's 100% a verifiable defense strategy against the defamation that is Mark Gray and the sabotage that Sickwit put on him on 4th and goal. You don't have anybody blocked for a quarterback, and you roll him out to the right where there's nobody on the front side to protect. You put the backside, the running back after the play action on the backside, and he doesn't even check release as a hot read.
So I'm going to go get Cory's blood pressure down. And what I want you guys to do is like, comment, subscribe, drop a review, drop a rating.
And for all my quarterbacks out there, because let's just put this out there. We got a contest going on, and we want to hear from you.
We do. We didn't even fucking get a chance to talk about this. We're doing a QB cadence contest in honor of a potential new merch store coming. A new merch store with new merch coming for the A7FL, including the 3-on-1 podcast. So you better buy, you fucking people. We are doing a quarterback cadence contest. That's right. The best QB cadence, by our rules, gets a free t-shirt of their choice from our merch store. Cory, you want to run through what the actual rules of this Fakakta contest are that we came up with on the fly?
So the real rules in A7FL is because there is no center quarterback exchange with the football, you can't have a cadence in which you try to draw people off sides with the hard count. Stary, Codrington. So even though certain quarterbacks for BIC have done it and then gotten in trouble for it once it finally got to the playoffs, unfortunately in the A7FL, it's really only a 3 count. Ready, set, go, or ready, down, hike, or whatever you want to do. It's boom, boom, boom. No, that's not what we want. This is a 3-on-1 podcast. We want you to give us your best cadence. What does that mean? Whatever you want it to mean, but it doesn't have to follow the rules of ready, set, go. So Matt knows the key word that I'm looking for as one to spark you right up to the top. But hey, get creative. You could win a shirt. And who doesn't want to win a free shirt? You know that I'll try, but certain people involved in our league are not allowed to participate. Rats. So, give us your best quarterback cadence, try to draw us off sides, and you could win some merch. tinyurl.com/A7FL merch. That's tinyurl.com/A7FL merch for those who aren't good enough to win.
All right, you can do that, and you can drop your best QB cadence, whether in the comments or you can email them to How can you submit your cadence? Well, we're going to do a social media video, and we're going to post this on the 3-on-1 Facebook and Instagram pages, and you can drop your responses there. You can tag us in a video on social media, or you can call us on the hotline. That's 516-387-A7FL. 516-387-A7FL is the number to drop your QB cadence. And good luck to everybody who's trying to get involved. To the winner goes the shirt. Do we just want to sit in this awkward silence now?
Well, I talk too much. And I said enough. And I'm still thinking about that play. What the fuck are you doing,
All right.
Mark?
I'm going to go. Me and Cory are going to go talk to my botanist. We're going to be back next week on the road to March 24th for Cory Hammond. I want to thank Trey Robinson for joining us for the news. I want to apologize to everybody we pissed off this week. And I want to say so long. And as always, don't be an asshole.
I was going to say that Sickwood had a chance to upset Insomniacs in the regular season, but whatever. I'll try, Matt. I'll try.